Alright, as you can see, the truck is up on stands. We will be doing mostly the clutch and the fuel and brake lines, trying to get everything straightened out. Now we're on to the throwout bearing, because it was so rusted from sitting that it didn't last very long. As soon as we started using the truck, it ended up leaking, and it would draw air into the throwout bearing at the seal. So we've got a new one right here. So we've got a new one all ready to go in. We've already put a new master cylinder on it. There was nothing wrong with the old one, but the new ones are cast, and I thought, well, we'll start with everything fresh. So we're trying to get it back to factory specs before we start putting cams and everything else in it and taking her to the drag strip. On with the show.
What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. The brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves, we won't let the world burn away, burn away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To blame, haters face the world's mistakes. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway.
So we went with a little different style on the hose. Other than that, it's the same. But you can see this old one. I don't know if it's focused or not. Hopefully you can see that. But that's from sitting for 2 years with no use. It just rusted up, and as soon as we started to use the truck, it started leaking. This is the new one. So we went with a little different style of line. So I could have steel braided line and make things a little easier for the future, in case we do future changes. But other than that, get this bad boy in there and get this truck back in the road. So it's amazing how much you can see when you have the lights on. Yeah, so this worm gear trick on that mount, we used to do that on brand new mounts when we were building horsepower cars, because we couldn't get good, decent mounts. So we clamps on there, so the mount wouldn't rip apart, but it would still absorb shock. Alright, so we got the shifter all back in. Carry on.
1,000 for it, that's the problem.
So after doing all the transmission work and the clutch stuff, more fuel line issues. So we're just replacing from the engine down to the filter. As you can see, we've had to replace the fuel lines right from the engine all the way down to the fuel filter location. There's the fancy new clutch master cylinder, and we used a new braided line. You can see it running down there. I hope. Yeah, you can see it. Okay, so there's a new, we put a new braided line now. That braided line is actually for a Jeep Wrangler, but it works. It's 46 inches, so it was more than enough, and I wanted to use that style because the whole thing is braided. There's no plastic in it, and it has the fittings come with it to fit in the master as well as the throwout bearing. Okay, so as you can see, we've had to redo that. Fuel lines all the way down to here. We just did soft lines for right now. We're gonna redo it with hard line, and we'll reuse this stuff for other stuff. But yeah, no leaks, and that's what we're after. As you can see, a new brake servo there. I'll put a picture of the old servo that was on there because it was absolutely destroyed. So I just happen to have parts trucks that I stole that one from and put it in, and everything works good. So that's the finished product. We got the transmission out, new throw out cable, all that good stuff, and that's all back in. I don't recommend doing this on the floor. It is absolutely no fun. And I'm getting too old to be rolling around on cold concrete floors. So this clutch job took us much longer than I anticipated because, well, basically because I'm not a kid anymore. And doing this on the floor, it sucks. Get a hoist. So after all that misery that you saw, we've got all new fuel lines and all the clutch and everything is all done. So I fixed a couple other things inside. So we still got parking brake cables, and I'm gonna drop the rear end probably, well, they're 2-inch shackles, so we'll see how much we actually get in drop. And I don't want to slam this to the ground, so at least not yet anyway. We're looking at, we won't lower it until we start into the fun stuff. That's step one of the Silverado. So we're going to shoot for parking brake and the shackles in probably over the next couple days, and we'll see where it stands then, and then we're going to it's time to start playing with it just in time for tax season, so I can get my money back that the government stole off my check.